I genuinely think that what Hoyoverse is doing at this point has got to be a social experiment or something. Got one game that's been good since the beginning, one game that's been bad since the beginning, and one that is struggling to stay alive. Before I go ham, I'm gonna give credit where credit's due, of course. These games are the best games in their genre, don't get me wrong. Although I would beg to differ, I've gotta be for real. And when Genshin Impact came out, the quality for gacha games was just so low that nobody could compete, and then COVID happened and boom. You found me playing the game every morning to night. Personally, I thought I was immune to the yoink and twist genre, but this one got me. To be fair, I did start playing the game a little late, I think like May 2022. In all honesty, the world that's built within Genshin Impact is a very interesting one and a very intriguing one, but the way that they put it together and introduce it to you is just strenuous. Same with Honkai Impact Part 2, it just started feeling so slow. Honkai Star Rail's good though. But in all honesty, I'm just tired of all this toxic positivity about games that really aren't that good or just have so many problems. There's a reason why your average person who hears the word Genshin Impact immediately thinks you're either a weirdo or says I hate those people. And it's because the Hoyoverse community can't admit that their games are dying. And first and foremost, their community is just growing up, you know? To say that's all the community though would just be wrong, because this is really just a minority of the community that tends to talk a lot more than the people who actually play the game casually. And of course, I don't think the games are actually dying, I just think they're falling from that COVID peak and they're now just going to a more stable amount of players leaving and joining the game. So before I start talking about a game that makes more money than cigarette companies in a year, I'd like to say that this is just my opinion and I'm just gonna be saying on my own experiences. And this is also completely unscripted, so I'm sorry if some things don't come out the way I want it to.
Let's go.
I don't think anybody will ever understand my obsession about Overwatch that I had for the better part of my entire life. I have thousands of hours on this game, and this game I had to quit it because it was just ruining my life low-key. The progression of the games I played could be simply said by console. I started on Xbox 360, that's the only thing I had. I played Minecraft, I played all the Halo games, I played Call of Duty, all those types of games, and then I switched to the Xbox One, which is where I think like 6 years ago I played Overwatch, and that was definitely the main game that I played, other than maybe some other kid games like Roblox. I think a lot of people, at least now, would say that my game taste was based, at least the average person, and then they see Genshin Impact, they're like, where the fuck did this come from? You played Halo Reach and you're telling me that you enjoyed Genshin Impact? Well, yeah, I sorta did. The gacha games I played before Genshin Impact were still very important to me though, like Ensemble Stars and Project Sekai. But these games never really hit that sort of quality marker that Genshin Impact did. Plus, they were mostly just idle games, which means they just take up the mostly drama aspect, which is a really good story. They all have really good stories, and I really love them. But yeah, it's just like the fantasy aspect that I really love to see. They couldn't really go all out for that. So I'm gonna just move on to my first problem with Hoyo's games.
Legend has it that long ago, the long nights were the den of dangers untold.
I have no idea what danger she's talking about, but this game literally has zero threats at all. And I know the barrier to entry should be pretty low because it's usually going to be kids who are stealing their parents' credit cards to buy their characters or their skins or whatever in these games. But come on, you can get a toddler to beat a boss fight in this game. Like, genuinely, it is just clicking buttons. That, or if you get a Hyper Bloom team, you win the game. So many of the bosses warn you like 10 hours before they're about to do their big, huge attack. So you have plenty of time to dodge the attack instead of you actually having to remember how or what the boss is gonna do. It just tells you. All the attacks are auto as well, you don't really need to aim, unless it happens to be Ganyu. But look at this slow ass thing, you think you're gonna miss that shit? Honkai Impact had such amazing boss fights, like what happened Genshin Impact? This is mostly why I genuinely just can't wait for Weathering Waves, because I am surely gonna keep all my characters low level and then beat these bosses like the bitches they are. But Genshin Impact really just isn't that versatile. You'd be able to play Weathering Waves like it's Elden Ring, but when you come to Genshin Impact, you are required to always level up your characters, and you're required to make sure you can do the most damage output in the world, while simultaneously, the more you play, the more boring the game gets, simply because you're leveling up all your characters, you're making the game too easy for yourself.
それってなぜこんなことに
いいえ、聞きなさい。
Genshin Impact in English probably had one of the worst localizations I've ever seen, and I don't know who was exactly making these localizations, but it definitely had some odd intent. Kaya and Diluc never were brothers, or at least the two never saw each other as brothers, more of like close friends. This is really the only example I really wanted to bring out because so many people got harassed for shipping the two, and me personally, I don't ship it considering I read the English version and I've been under the impression that they are brothers. So personally, I think if you've read the English version and interpreted it as the English version, I think it's weird to ship them, but that doesn't mean you attack people who are from the JP and the CN who actually had their stuff translated properly or are the original source. I've been seeing so many freaking Americans be so pretentious about this, trying to argue with people who literally are Chinese and read it in Chinese. Like, you think that they don't know what they're talking about? But ultimately, it's nobody's fault but the localizers, and considering most localizers don't even speak the language that they're translating, it makes a lot of sense that they may have not known the difference between brother and sworn brother and whether Kaya was adopted or not, which he wasn't. The relationships between characters are the most important things in this game, and to mess that up is just crazy. Thankfully, this is the only example that I really see in the EN sphere, or like kind of like EN, CN, JP clashing on translation and localization issues, but everything else is pretty much okay in relation to the intent or the skill in which something was localized to. Straight up translations though, there are a few typos, there are a few weird sentences, but everything is pretty much fine.
Only through eternity are you closest to the heavenly principles.
The story, in my opinion, was low-key perfect. Like, I really loved it, but the only problem was that the story was never actually, like, shown to you productively or in a way that anybody would really enjoy. And Paimon, she's such a problem, bro. Like, we already get the content repeated to us like 30 times as if we're a baby in the story, and then we have Paimon in her high-pitched, annoying voice say it again. Like, no, I don't need it, girl.
So far, so good. I'm already in talks with some spice merchants in Port Ormos about some potential collaboration.
Yeah, that does sound like a great business opportunity.
Wow, Paimon. Couldn't guess that. Also, does this have anything to do with the plot? No. Okay. But other than the horrible delivery of the story, I think something even more serious is the fact that they cannot keep a villain. Like, they literally are unable to have a playable villain. And to be honest, I would be okay with it if they got valid redemptions, but the Raiden Shogun was literally just like, oh, your ambitions got me, so I must change my mind. And then for Scaramouche, they literally had to remove him from the entire universe for him to get redeemed, so it's just kind of like, wow. And the thing is that this people that the Raiden Shogun kind of like fucked up, and then the people that Scaramouche killed, they didn't come back. And then all the people who got their visions taken and they kind of just like lost their ambitions and all that type of stuff, nobody got like reimbursed and nobody felt like kind of angry. Just did everybody just forgive the Raiden Shogun when she gave back all their visions? Are they that dumb? It just makes the entire world building and everything seem two-dimensional instead of three-dimensional. And I don't care what anybody says, the you don't understand Scaramouche like I do type people that I've seen all over the internet. Like, yeah, nigga, I don't understand him. You're making shit up. Like, genuinely, you make shit up from your head to fill in the spots that Hoyoverse should have filled in for you. It's just crazy. Yeah, man, I don't think it's ever happening. Anyway, we're on like 4.6, right? And the update came by and everybody said that Arlecchino's quest was trash and that it kind of got spoiled already by the company itself, by Hoyoverse. So nobody really was happy with it. Nobody was happy with 4.5. It was a dry patch, and now 4.6 is also a dry patch other than a character coming out, but is really a character coming out enough to say that it's not a dry patch? Because all the people who are skipping Arlecchino, what the hell are you doing? Like, what are they doing in the game? I have no clue. I would have talked more about Honkai Star Rail and Honkai Impact, but really Honkai Impact's only problem is that like the pacing for part 2 is just really slow, and nobody really who played part 1 really wants to play it anymore because the stakes were so high and now we're going all the way back low and slow. Nobody really wants to play that. And just like Honkai Star Rail, I don't really think there's that many problems, but it's a turn-based game. It does what a turn-based game should do. and it's doing its best. It's very generous. Story's really good too. I really have no problem with it. And yeah, just Genshin Impact being a shitty game like usual. Anybody who is playing Honkai Impact Part 2, I hope you enjoy it. I see a lot of people who really do like it, but I see mostly the people who are actually complaining about it being people who played Part 1 originally and are just kind of like disappointed with it, and you know, I totally get that and I respect that opinion. And if you like Genshin Impact, again, I'm really happy that you enjoy it. It's just like depressing that like the game could be so much better with its skill capping, its end game, and all of that, but the game just really doesn't want to do that. I'll be making a video, I'll be reacting to the next update trailer because I heard that there's going to be end game, even though the game planned on not doing end game, but now that's become such a problem, they're actually trying to change it. I appreciate that, and I'm going to check that out. Thank you for watching the video. Smash that like button, guys.